Hello. Welcome back, everyone. We are returning to Sherlock Holmes versus Jack the Ripper. And last week, when we were leaving off, I had mentioned that I was going to try and find a hint guide to help me through the game, since there doesn't appear to be as straightforward of a hint guide integrated into the game. And I wasn't able to find anything that I liked. So I'm just going to stick with the walkthrough that I have and try not to read too far ahead in it, so that I'm not just following a walkthrough completely. Paper! Is that a cup of ramen? It's a magically powerful cup of ramen. Wow. So, when we left off, I was about the streets. Right.
What are you looking for? Chicks? Opium? A girl? Sailor?
None of the above? Alright, so... Oops. Hello, Silver Shadow. How are you? Paper. Lost. Yeah, exactly. I am lost. I'll admit that willingly. Alright, so... Oh, I don't even remember what I was doing last. That's horrible. Alright. Let's see. Okay, what was the last conversation I had? Watson was talking to Mary. When the coal delivery came, a client came out of the chambers and stopped me, seeking the boy who brought the bucket of coal. You don't think that he could have taken advantage? Could he? Oh. Drat. Okay. All I have is glass shards. That's not helpful. My deductions are complete. My conclusions are few and far between. Yeah, thanks, help screen. That's real helpful. Paper. Whoa. Shadow. You're great. Just got on Twitch and saw that I just got on too. Yeah, nice. Perfect timing. Alright, let's see. I'm consulting my walkthrough. Okay, that's how to open the thing. Right, we did that. We did that. Okay. I think I'm about here. Hope you're good too. I am doing pretty good, thank you, Silver. Paper. Silver is a poopy butthole? No, Paper, that is not true. You are just being a rabble rouser. Because you like rousing rabbles. Where? Okay. Alright, let me go to the police station real quick, because I think I went the wrong way to that. Oh, that's the murder scene over there, okay. No. Oh, Paper, you're gonna hurt Silver's feelings. Paper, there's no bullying allowed in this chat. I hope you know that. You know bully, Paper. Ah, here's the police station. Right, yes. Maybe if I talk to the police person, I'll get a hint. Hello?
The night is cool. What a horrible summer we have had. Does the name Tumblety mean anything to you?
Not at all. But if you like, I can make inquiries.
Fine, why not? One never knows. Does the name
Died.
Tumble...
Not at all.
Fine. Well,
Okay,
goodbye.
Alright, well, there's a lead at least. Tumblety. I really don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. No. I feel like I'm not in the right spot in the walkthrough, but we'll see. Oh, now you offer a hug paper. I see. Well, if you're lucky, Silver might accept. Just laying on the street, kicking your feet up, huh? Alright, sure. Where was... Alright, let's visit all the places I've been, I guess. We'll figure this out. Oh, this is a dead end, okay. Oh, hugs! Oh, paper, I see, okay. Is this true, Silver? Or are you finding out about it now as well? Let's see. Alleyways and dead-end corners. Jelly? Am I jelly? I'm not jelly.
Whitechapel Street.
Good job. Oh. Silver approaches with caution, I see.
Whitechapel Street.
Yes, good for you, Watson. You can read signs. What the hell am I doing? If you want to think that, paper, I guess I can't necessarily stop you. Well, I believe that, paper. I imagine you would make
I
the
have
door
no
open.
reason to go that way.
Oh, I have no reason to go that way, apparently. I'll not interrupt the smooching people. I'm not going to be too keen to answer questions if I interrupt their snogging.
Bucks Row.
Bucks Row. Is that adding anything to the map, by the way? Not really. No, not really at all, actually. Okay, so if I hold spacebar... Oh, is that just this sign that I haven't read yet?
Whitechapel Street.
Yes.
No, it would be better not to insist.
Alright. Is this another street
I
sign?
have no reason to go that way. Whitechapel Street.
Oh, which this is the only reason I'm reading every single iteration of every street sign is because when I hold spacebar, it gives me options of things I can look at, and when it shows up as white, that means I haven't read it.
Whitechapel Street.
And I want to get them all out of the way so that I'm not holding down spacebar to see if there's a hint and go, oh, there's something I haven't done, and walk up and realize it's just a street sign. Oh, loving the chat. I love it. It's good. So, what does this say? Oh, curlers. Hin's curlers. Instantly, Homika instantly touch the spot? Let's not go there. Okay. Exotic animals?
I have no reason to go that way.
But exotic animals.
Closed.
Boot and shoe repair. Okay. I can go into the... Ooh. Yes. Haha! Doctor.
Good evening, Doctor. My name is Dr. Watson. Pleased to meet you.
Good evening. I am Dr. Gibbons. Likewise.
I have come to see you about one of your patients. Margie goes by the nickname Nutcracker, who gets her prescription from the clinic. She's a lady of the night and is afflicted with a venereal disease.
I know who you're talking about. Indeed, Margie has syphilis and is being treated with mercury.
Do you have her address?
Mercury?
No. And for your information, she left London for good 3 days ago. She felt threatened.
Margie felt threatened. But by whom?
I believe that Margie was particularly scared of a terrifying man who attacked her once.
Did she say the name Pizer or Pyther?
Unfortunately, she didn't give a name, but she described a man with shifty, rat-like eyes and a mouth twisted in a sinister grimace.
Did Margie have any idea where this man who terrified her so much might be found?
No, but she told me that another girl who'd been attacked like her had told her that this man worked in a cobbler's run by an old Israeli. Also, she saw him again last week, the night of the big fire. She told of going to see the fire like most everyone else in the area. While there, she recognised her attacker in the crowds gathered at the warehouses. There was no mistaking a face like that, she said. She kept an eye on the man the whole time the firemen were working in order to avoid him.
Did Margie
No.
have any idea?
She
Goodbye, Dr. Gibbons.
Until we meet again, my dear colleague.
Sleeping face down like that would be kind of hard to breathe, don't you think? Oh, just a pile of blanket. Alright. Ooh.
This interview with the doctor revealed an important fact.
Aha!
Leather Apron could not be the Bucks Row murderer. According to Margie, the villain passed most of the night of the crime at the fire. He could not have been at the scene of the murder at the moment it was committed. He is nonetheless a dangerous character.
Indeed. What's with the bell? Clang, clang, clang. With the trolley. Right, so there's that. Nothing new in notes, nothing new in documents. Oh. Pardon me. Oh my god. Have you been rolling around in the mud? Alright, let's head back this way.
Tell me, is it...
Leave me alone.
Alright. Oh yes, it's a street sign.
Commercial Street?
Commercial Street.
If you have the means, I can let you pass before everyone. But behind me.
Quite.
Commercial Street.
Oh.
Commercial Street.
Another street sign. Commercial Street.
Commercial Street.
Commercial Street?
Commercial Street.
There's too many of those. Ooh, I can go down. Oh, come on. I can't go down by the water? 0 out of 10 this whole game.
I have no reason to go that way.
Oh, I have no reason to go that way. Why should I go that way? Let's see if the cop found anything for us.
Some news, Doctor?
Well, goodbye.
I suppose not, then. I'll probably get a dialogue like, I should go back and ask if he's found anything yet. Street sign.
Berner Street.
Berner Street, eh?
Look, the Club for Socialist Jews, the Cradle of Liberty. Another political club of little interest.
Okay. Wasp's Nest?
The Wasp's Nest. This pub looks even more disreputable than the Golden Lion in Baker Street. The Wasp's Nest.
And we will not be going in at this time, I guess. Behind me's a dead end.
Batty Street.
Batty?
Batty Street.
Are you a bit batty?
I have nothing to ask.
Alright, I have nothing to ask. Fine.
Batty Street. Batty Street. Tell me, is it...
Out of the way, I don't like the look of you.
Batty Street?
Right. Well, some of them here.
Commercial Street.
Hey, do you know we're on Commercial Street? We're on Commercial Street.
Commercial Street. Tell me, is it...
Now time to chat, I've got business, got it?
Right. That's where I just came from. Okay. Getting all turned around. Oi, horse! Getting all sorts of turned around at this point. I don't want to talk to you.
Can I get a refill, please?
Yes, Dr. Watson?
Paper.
Thank you, Mom.
No problem, my angel.
Are you okay, Paper? Are you having a problem? A slight crisis, perhaps?
A large, black footprint.
Too bad I couldn't examine it closer.
Yes, sir.
Until next time, miss.
With pleasure, sir.
Alright, so... Oh, am I supposed to be finding this guy's... Oh, Have I played Sherlock Holmes' Devil's... No.
These paintings are suggestive, at the very least.
I'm playing them in order of their release, so we're working our way towards The Devil's Daughter, so whenever
These
it falls in
paintings
line...
are suggestive, at the very least.
Paper, you have played Devil's Daughter. Did you like it, Paper?
These paintings are
Okay, Watson.
These paintings are...
Making Watson very uncomfortable by being here, I can tell. Oh, let's not talk to this chap.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, my dear man. I was led to believe that you're a doctor.
None of the residents of this establishment are among my patients, sir.
Oh, you're not here as a doctor, but as a man, then. I understand. This is my kind of place, too. It's in these houses in Whitechapel that you find the girls that are the most natural and definitely the most docile.
Your way of speaking about these women is not that of a gentleman, sir.
Very much so.
I heard that you were the victim of a robbery here.
Oh, I'm not complaining. The loss of that walking stick will certainly bring me a very pleasant compensation.
What does your cane look like?
The stick is ebony, about 35 inches long. The round knob is made from chiseled silver with a ring around the middle of the same workmanship, just like the tip, for that matter. If you find it, don't tell a soul. Keep it for yourself. Got it?
Well, goodbye, sir.
Goodbye, or until next time. And good evening.
Wow. Okay, two things. That guy's a creep, and also someone really is hamming it up on the kissy sound effects for this room. Alright, so find the artist's cane. So talk to Mary. We talked to Mary. She's the one scrubbing the floor. Struck it. Talk to the man on the couch. We just talked to him. Go to the clinic. We went to the clinic. We talked to the doctor. Talk to the doctor. Learn about marriage data previously. Leather worker worked for cobbler, was seen watching the fire. Ask about the footprints. The brother of a patient paid for a participant walking cane. Wait, ask about what footprints? Well, I guess we gotta go back to talk to the doctor then. So I'm supposed to ask about some footprints that I don't know where. Oh, here.
These footprints are the same as those found on the rug at the brothel.
Aha! Doctor.
What can I do for you, my dear colleague?
Pardon me, Doctor, but who made the large black footprints there near the beds?
The brother of one of my patients. The poor thing had a leg amputated after colliding with a carriage. We arranged to find her a prosthesis.
Prostheses are very expensive. How did this man pay?
He told me that one of his uncles gave him a walking stick with a chiselled silver knob. I agreed to accept this knob in exchange for a simple prosthesis with harness. But this object is of great value, and I could finance half a dozen other prostheses by selling it on Petticoat Lane.
Doctor, I have reason to believe that the silver knob that you possess is from a cane that was stolen by the man who brought it to you. And I believe I know to whom it belongs.
That's what I was worried about. The story of the uncle seemed a little strange. Nevertheless, you must have proof of what you claim. I will show you all of the knobs that we have here. If you find the knob that the young man gave me, I will believe you.
Ooh.
So be it, but something is bothering me. I will need a complete cane, not just a knob.
Don't worry, dear chap, build one. I can loan you some tools. Make use of the odds and ends in my cupboard. It'll help get rid of it.
Well, I shall try. I will have to remember the description that Sickert gave.
Ebony.
Goodbye, Dr. Gibbons.
Until we meet again, my dear colleague.
Wait, so can I look at the knobs now, or do I have to come back with the stick? The walking stick first. Also, where's your cupboard? Oh, here's your cupboard. Aha! Oh, jeez. Okay, what am I doing? You must recreate Sickert's walking stick in the space given for this at the right of the screen. Ah, the blank screen. Click on the inventory icon to find Sickert's dialogue in which he describes the stick. Very good idea. Next, click on an item of your choosing from the left side of the screen and click with this item on the right side. This item will take its place automatically. To remove it, proceed the same way in the opposite direction. You need 4 items to remake Sickert's stick. Wow, what a name. Alright, so I'm pretty sure I remember it was an ebony. Oh, okay, here we go. Ah, yes. The stick is ebony, about 35 inches long. Okay, so we need an ebony. Is this ebony? Is that the proper length? Okay. The round knob is made of chiseled silver with a ring around the middle of the same workmanship, just like the tip for that matter. Alright, so it's got to be this one. The nice band. And then a silver... Am I supposed to take one of these too? Didn't say anything about having a collar. And a silver tip. Like this. I say that probably matches the best. What do you think? So, the height seems off. Because 135 be... No, that would be way too small. That'd be silly. With a silver ring around the middle of the same, just like the tip for that matter. Oh, silver ring. Oh, okay. So, this one.
There, all done. Holmes couldn't have done better himself.
Haha.
What can I do for you, my dear colleague?
I believe I found the knob from the stolen cane, which I succeeded in putting back together.
That's the one. And yet I cannot give it to you, Doctor. I will only return it to the police, and only if there is an official complaint against me.
Would there be a way to convince you to give me the cane?
Find me a dozen solid adjustable harnesses for wooden leg prostheses, and it's yours, Doctor.
Goodbye, Dr. Gibbons.
Dozen?
Until we meet again, my dear colleague.
How the hell am I going to find 12 of these adjustable harnessy widgets? Let's consult the guide, because, you know, why not? Let's see. Okay, so I need to go to the cobbler's shop, it says. Right here. I don't suppose I know where the cobbler's shop is. That's the brothel. There's Lucy's. The boarding house. Police station. Let's go talk to... Can I talk to Lucy? She's not in or she's asleep, it seems. Okay, that cobbler's shop was... somewhere. Umbrellas? Oh, where was the cobbler's shop? It's the pub. That's a dead end. Was the cobbler's shop back towards the hospital, the clinic? I don't like how easy it is to get turned around in this game. Okay. Let's go over here. Scuff my feet on the dirt a lot. Boot and shoe repair. Aha! Okay.
There's nobody here. How very odd.
It is very odd. Making some shoes.
I say, these things look like harnesses. Oh my, they are noisy. Good evening, sir. Pardon the interruption. The door was open. I didn't think that I would find anyone working at this hour.
Good evening, sir. I didn't hear you come in.
Say, those things that made noise, they are really harnesses, aren't they?
Yes, horse harnesses. But I must tell you, sir, that the store is normally closed at this hour. That is why I've asked you to return tomorrow.
I didn't come about my shoes. I came to speak of a cobbler, perhaps one of your former employees? A man with very particular habits.
You aren't with the police by any chance? I'm sorry, but I do not want to speak of anything but shoes with you.
I am not a policeman. I am Dr. Watson. It's Mr. Finlay, who told me that you might be in a position to inform me.
Ah, that Mr. Finlay is a very brave man. And if he sent you, then you must certainly be a worthy man also. So, Doctor, who is this cobbler with strange habits?
Silver. Sue says hello and wishes you well. Oh, well. tell Sue that I hope she's doing well and thanks. Fights
The man of whom I speak is called Pizer or Pyther, a man with a frightening face. Do you know him?
Yes, John Pizer. He worked here for a while, but he is no longer here.
Do you know where I can find him?
No, and if you look, you will not find him.
Why?
Because he is in hiding, Doctor.
Oh.
You see, a week ago, a horrible murder took place in the neighborhood. A rumor circulated that he might have been responsible for this crime. They say he has quarreled with women of certain virtue in the past, if you understand.
Uncertain.
Isaac, it is about the Bucks Row case that I have come to see you. I have the certitude and an incontestable witness that Pizer is innocent, at least of this crime, although he has attacked a number of street women. If he doesn't come forward to explain himself to the authorities, he is condemned to hiding and to take the fall for this murder. Furthermore, it will cast suspicions on your community because they must be hiding him. And while the whole police force is hunting for him, they cannot concentrate on the real assassin who roams the streets and, one never knows, may take any one of you any day.
If what you say is true, your visit is a godsend to our community, Doctor. I tell you something. I know Sergeant Thick, an honest policeman who lives in the area. I'll tell John's family that he must go there to explain himself. But if you could please go as soon as possible to the police to give them this report that you say is incontestable.
I will go as soon as I take leave of you.
Thank you. If I can ever be of service in any way, do not hesitate to ask.
Now that you mention it.
Say, those things that made...
Yes, but I must...
Could we transform your horse harnesses into harnesses for wooden legs? Adjustable harnesses?
A good craftsman can do anything, Doctor. And I do believe that's what I am. Come back in a while and it will be done. That will be my thanks for what you have done.
Aha!
I shall return later.
At your convenience, sir.
I am spent. I would like to return home, but I promised to go to the police as soon as I could. Now then, let's go to the police station.
Police. Whoops. Actually, you know what? Let's save. Yes. Haha. Police. Police. Meanwhile. Uh-oh. This isn't going to end well for this young lady.
Will you?
Yes.
Why did it say
Hey,
cat
Doctor,
in the
you
window?
seem tired. Were you wandering the darker parts of Whitechapel all night?
You could say that. I have some information on Leather Apron, the man of whom we spoke earlier.
Do you know where he is?
No, but I can clear him of the Bucks Row crime. A witness proved him totally innocent.
Oh, Watson, is it only now, after many hours of walking, that you decide to pass on the important message that Inspector Aberline is waiting for?
But, no. But what are you doing here, Holmes?
Yeah, Holmes.
I was worried, Watson, and with good reason it would appear. Go give the message to this
It did,
policeman and
Silver.
let's go home. Nobody appreciates me hanging around here, you know, and it's freezing cold.
Ah, Creddle, none too soon. You will take the testimony of this...
No, you continue with your duty shift. I must find Chandler in Hanbury Street. He's struck again.
Who?
What?
The murderer, the Bucks Row assassin.
Great.
Hanbury Street. Let's go, Watson. We have no time to lose.
All right. Wait. Where? What? Can't I just click on a thing?
I have no reason to go that way. I have no reason. I have no...
No. Can't there just be a shortcut button to get me there? But I was supposed to...
Hanbury Street. Let's go, Watson. We have no time to lose.
All right, Holmes. I don't know where I'm going.
I have no. I have. I have no. I have. I have.
What? Game, you're killing me.
I have. I have.
I can't go anywhere. Holmes, I can't leave the police station.
Hanbury Street. Let's go, Watson. We have no time to lose.
But, Majesty, but, it won't let me out. Let me through the door. I'm thinking it might be a glitch, Silver. Because I can't... Okay, cobbler
I have
shop?
no reason to go
No.
that way.
The clinic.
I have no reason to go that
No.
way.
I obviously can't click on any non-dots.
I have no reason to go that way.
Can't go to the brothel.
I have no reason to go
Go
that
to
way.
Lucy's.
I have no reason to
Can't
go
go to
that
the boarding
way.
house.
I have no reason to go that way.
Go to the police station. Well, this is all rather bollocks. Let me double check the guide and make sure I'm not missing something obvious. Okay. Go to the police station, talk to Humphreys. Did. Holmes arrives, Constable Cradle enters, says the Buck Rose hasn't killed another in Hanbury Street. Go to the map and click on the map of London at the top and click on 29 Hanbury Street between Baker and Whitechapel.
Hanbury Street. Let's go, Watson. We have no time to lose.
Fine. Alright, so now we gotta go talk to the constable in front of Cat's Meats. Cat's Meat. Okay.
You can go in, Mr. Holmes. She's there. We didn't touch a thing.
Now I'm Holmes? Oh, I am. Bunch of people. Through here then? Back here, I assume? Right there. Well. Isn't this horrific? It's a very thin sheet they've got her covered in.
It was very good of PC Chandler to let us pass. He said no one has touched the corpse. It's the perfect opportunity for us to put our skills to the test. Watson, let's not waste it.
Right. London, 20th of August, 1888. M2S. That's not helpful.
A torn envelope. It smells of rubbing alcohol. It contains 3 pills. I will take one. 2 should suffice for the police.
You know, he said I'll take one, and immediately I thought he was gonna like go take one, and then I realized, oh, he's gonna take back and experiment on. The envelope is near the victim's head. I don't know about that. I'm gonna say maybe this. Nope. Yes. Alright, so we have our first clue.
A piece of coarse muslin.
Muslin, eh?
2 combs, curiously arranged.
2 combs curiously arranged, you say. Doop. The item at the victim's feet are very orderly. The items fell? No. The item belonged to the killer? Maybe. The items belong to the victim? Most likely. Chapman proposes some feminine items. No. The murderer searched Chapman. Chapman's murder was feeling unorganized. Chapman's murderer panicked? No. Organized. He wanted everything to be so, just right.
So, Doctor, shall we examine our victim?
Ah, I'm tired, Holmes. I'm not sure if I am in a state to do this work.
Come, Watson, there is little time. Show me what you're made of.
Oh, very well.
Oh, my God.
Pray, Watson, pull yourself together. Can you establish the time of the crime?
The extremities of the corpse are cold and rigor mortis is beginning to set in. I would say that the murder was committed over 2 hours ago, before 4:30 a.m.
Ooh. Oh, look, it's our neat little draw. Oh my God.
Now, let's look at the stomach, or at least what remains of it.
It's dreadful, Holmes. Who could do that to someone?
That's what you're here for, Watson. Tell me what this man has done.
The stomach has been entirely opened and... Oh, my God! A number of organs have been removed.
So, you're telling me that the organs were removed, Watson. They weren't ripped out.
Not at all, Holmes. On the contrary, this is clearly the work of an expert. I couldn't have done any better myself. And the uterus is missing.
I don't like what that implies. Organs are missing. The uterus was removed by the hands of an expert. Used a weapon of great size. Didn't use weapons. Killer was a knife with a short, supple blade. No? Ah. Yeah, exactly, Silver. Ha! The uterus was removed and taken. And the killer has knowledge of anatomy. Alright. Now... all of that. What's this?
This fence separates the courtyard from the neighbours, 27 Hanbury Street.
Not helpful. Blood.
The blood is a dozen inches or so from the ground. Bloodstains on the wall. Let's look at this poor woman more closely. A bruise. The victim's face appears to have bruising, wouldn't you say?
Under the maxilla and cheek. There is less on the right side.
Paper. Really? Wow.
Look at her neck. What can you tell me?
There are 2 incisions.
2 incisions. Anything on her hand? Defensive wounds?
Look at her neck. What can you tell me?
There are 2 incisions.
Alright, so let's check our deduction board. Okay, so some blood spurted on the wall near the stairs. The blood on the fence and a dozen inches off the ground. The victim had her throat slit while laying down and still alive. The victim had her throat slit while standing up. The victim had her throat slit while laying down and already dead. I'm gonna say... dead, maybe? The victim has bruises under the right jawbone and beneath the left cheek. Paper. Oh, Shadow, that's a great emote. The little magnifying glass. Investigation. The murderer held the victim's chin with his... No. There is a single bruise here and small bruises down here, which would imply... That doesn't feel natural. But that's on me, so that'd be left hand. Maybe? Right hand. No, right hand. Chin with his right hand, because he's a left-handed killer. The murderer slit the victim's throat with his left hand. Chapman's killer must be left-handed. Ambidextrous? Right-handed. Left-handed. That's wrong. Wait, why? Lying down still alive? No. Left hand? Right-handed? Ambidextrous? Left-handed? No. Ah, one of these is wrong. while she was standing up. Right hand? Left hand? No. Both hands? Left hand? Right hand? Okay. Anything I'm missing?
What are we doing, Holmes?
The tongue is swollen.
Her tongue's swollen.
The tongue is swollen.
Okay. So what does that get us? Tongue is bloated. The victim was strangled. She died of strangulation. Partially strangled and then had her throat slit. No. She's already dead. Huh. Let's consult our handy dandy notebook. Alright, so let's see here. Deduction. The victim wasn't dragged? Okay. Footprints, eh? Ah. I think I'm missing a clue. Let's pop these in real quick. Okay. So frame 1. Blood on the fence. Blood. Ah.
There are no trails on the ground. There's no sign of a struggle.
Haha. There we go. So the killer traces the victim wasn't dragged. Chapman's murder took place on the premises. Alright, so let's see what I have wrong then, because... Okay, the victim wasn't dragged. The victim had her throat slit while lying down and still alive. That's what I have wrong. Ha! Okay, murder took place on the premises. And the murderer held the victim's chin with his left hand. Oh, his chin with his left hand. And slit the throat with his right hand. Yes? Chin with left. The victim was strangled. Yeah, we got that one. And envelope was brought out by the victim. Envelope was brought out by the victim. Okay. So Chapman's murder took place on the premises. We got that. Murder slit the victim's throat with his right hand. Murder slit the victim's throat with his right hand. Got that. Chapman was partially strangled and then her throat was slit. Chapman's killer must be right-handed. Ha. I'm only cheating a little bit. Alright, so let's go frame 2. Alright, so we got this. The body is cold at the extremities and rigors set in. The crime was committed over 2 hours ago. And the murder of Chapman was committed before 4:30, because that's what it was. The crime was committed after. Chapman's murder took his time. But barely 2 hours ago, the murder is. Yes, okay. We gotta be more specific, I guess. Now, there's an incision from the right to the left going around the neck. There's an incision on the neck from the right inside, stopping in the middle of the throat. The wound around the neck is jerky and not all in one piece. The murderer used a bad knife. The murderer used a very sharp blade. The murderer panicked. Bad knife. Chapman's killer drew marks on her neck. Chapman's killer wanted to remove the glottis. Chapman's killer wanted to decapitate her. No. 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 Okay, so this is wrong. Sharp blade. There we go. Okay. So what more is there? Any... Oh, we're here.
Looky here. It would seem he has a mark on his left hand.
Oh. Hey.
The victim must have worn a large ring or several little ones, and someone pulled them off forcefully. This detail will be very valuable, Watson. You can be sure of that.
All right.
My dear Watson, now that we have found all of our clues, nothing remains but to subject them to our most likely hypotheses in order to deduce the facts.
The facts, Watson. Nothing but the facts. Reads and large scrapes on the first phalanx of the middle finger. The victim struggled against the murderer and scratched him. The victim must have worn one or more rings. Chapman took off her rings. The murderer's weak man. The murderer stole her rings.
I hear a noise coming from the street,
Trophies.
Watson. The authorities are arriving. It's time for us to go.
Good, because Watson wants
Holmes
to go
has
to bed.
been locked away in his room for days, always saying the same things. I'm thinking, Watson. Very good, Watson. As you wish, Watson. But I am thinking too, so much so that I can't sleep. Annie Chapman. Good Lord.
Good Lord, indeed. Alright, so.
This is the harpoon that pierced the sailor Peter the Black. Bizarre little relic. I have no reason to go that way.
Okay. Oh, the painting.
Switzerland, a charming country. Perhaps Holmes and I shall investigate one day. Holmes, are you there? Are you sleeping?
I'm thinking, Watson.
Are you ever going to quit these four walls? If you continue to shut yourself away like this, I will have to abandon the story of your adventures and write an essay on the fascinating colour of this closed door.
Very good, Watson.
Stop ignoring me! Didn't you say that we need to assess the case of this madman? I, too, can be driven mad, Holmes. I'll order Mrs. Hudson to stop bringing you food. I'll get some straw and a can of lamp oil and smoke you out like a common fox. And if you still don't come out, I'll...
As you wish, Watson.
Oh, Holmes, I despair of you. Holmes, are you going to come out of there or not?
No, Watson.
No food? Hell no. Come on, what? Come on, Holmes.
There is nothing more to do here. Holmes examined the broken jar that belonged to Finley's tenant. I wonder what this substance is. I don't recognize the odor.
Formalin, Watson.
Finally.
This jar contained formalin. Interesting, don't you think? I've been waiting for something for days. Just the tiniest bit of news that would make sense of this whole matter. But there's nothing, neither from the press nor the police. Unless Inspector Aberline is holding on to some information without realizing its importance, which is quite possible. It is time for you to return to the police station in Whitechapel, Watson. And didn't you tell me that you had a matter to take care of it? Take advantage of it to learn more about this pill and its contents.
Ah, but Holmes, it's late, and spending another night in this district is hardly my idea of entertainment.
I know, Doctor, but we don't have any choice. Time is against us. Take your pistol in case you run into any troublesome characters.
Fine, as you wish, Holmes.
All right. Back to Whitechapel.
I have no reason to go that way.
Just making sure. To the police station. Whitechapel, night of the September 11th and 12th, 1888, 10 in the evening.
Good evening. I hope I'm not disturbing you.
Not at all, Doctor. This man, Mr. Richardson, is a witness to the horrid affair at 29 Hanbury Street, the murder of Annie Chapman. We are discussing the relevance of his testimony.
Huh?
You're probably not in a position to discuss it with me, but I would like to know more about what you call the relevance of this young man's testimony.
Oh, there's no secrecy. It's simply that the testimony given by Mr. Richardson doesn't match the time of death given by the coroner, Dr. Phillips.
What was the time of death, according to him?
Before 4:30 in the morning.
My conclusions were the same. Were there any other conflicting testimonies?
Well, 2 other witnesses summoned at the preliminary inquest gave testimony, but in these cases too, the times don't match.
Do you remember what it was they said?
I didn't question them myself. A colleague of mine took down their statements on paper, but on deciding they were of little use, he tore them up and threw them in the bin. There's no point in being bogged down with useless paperwork.
Idiot.
I will take my leave, Humphreys.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Paper, Watson. Just start lighting people up with a bang here and a bang there, and everybody drops dead. He's trying to solve murders, Paper, not cause more.
May I introduce myself? I'm Dr. Watson. I am...
You wouldn't be the chap what writes the detective stories in that there paper?
Well, yes, indeed, my stories have been published in the Strand.
Go blimey, wanna tell me old mum?
It would seem your testimony is the subject of some debate. Could you tell me what it was about?
They'll be telling you I'm a bit befuddled about the times that I told them. But it can't be so. I knows what I sees and what I don't sees that morning.
What did you see, or what didn't you see? And at what time, would you say?
I'll tell you this for nothing. It's me old mum who lives at the house where the body was found out back in the garden. She has her shop at the bottom to the right of the stairs. Her door was broken down not too far back because it's a real zoo it is. Right, the morning it happened, I head that way to see if me old mum has finally had the place broken into. It was 4:45 when I got there. That I'll swear on me dear old mum's life. I had a look round to see if the cellar had been taken. No. I had a little sit down on the stairs by the courtyard because me shoes were causing me no end of pain and I had a cut and all. I didn't seize a single thing below the steps, Doctor, not one single thing. If there was some bird all covered in blood, tain't no how I could have missed that, even if it were night time. Right, 5 minutes after getting to number 29, I had to clip off. And now they tells me that either I can't tell time no more, or I was fixing me loafer next to a stiff that was still steaming. All right then. Evening, gents.
The subtitles and the spoken dialogue do not match up. Yes. Well then. Let's see. All police report regarding certain arrests. April 1886. Gunpoint from the way. That has nothing to do with this, I don't think.
An old report on arrests that took place a few years earlier.
Do they never enter their can? Jeez.
Here are the ripped statements. I can piece them together again.
Oh, we have to do another jigsaw puzzle. That's obviously the top corner. Let's say it's the... No. It told me which corner it was because it wouldn't fit. Wait, this is the top corner? No. What's going on here? Okay. Oh, let me guess. There's more than one page. Oh. Well, it goes there. There we go. That goes there. Let's see. No. That definitely goes there. Let's see here. No. 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 Need the rest of the word. Testimony. I don't see a top piece. Aha! Testimony of A something. Testimony of E long. 2 sheets of paper, of course! I'm an idiot. A Kadosh and E long. Ha ha! Now we're on to something. No. Yes. Ha! No. Oh. No. Wait, actually, yes. Ha! Is that? No, yeah, that fits there. It just doesn't quite fit perfectly. Ha-ha! Oh-ho! Yes. That goes there, that goes there, then this one goes here, and the final piece goes there.
All done. Holmes couldn't have done better himself.
Aha! Testimony of Elong. On the morning of the murder, the witness left her domicile at 32 Church Street at approximately 5 a.m. to get to Spitalfields Market. Spitalfields? Okay. She was passing down Hanbury Street at about 5:30 a.m. The witness was certain of the time as she declared that she heard the clock at the Black Eagle Brewery on Brick Lane strike the half hour just before she entered the street. In front of 29 Hanbury Street, she saw a man and a woman talking. It should be noted that the witness identified the body of Annie Chapman at the morgue as being the aforementioned woman. This identification was solicited by our services. The man seen with the victim was described by the witness as follows. Age at least 40 years old. Height a little taller than the woman with whom he was discussing, approximately 5 feet 3 inches. Clothing, a brown deer stalker hat, dark coat, a doubt on this point. General appearance of the working class. Particular markings, dark hair and moustache, dark face. Looks like a foreigner. The witness also saw the man from behind and wouldn't be able to recognize or identify him. The term foreigner is often associated with a person of Jewish origin. Well, let's see. And the other one was unuseful, I guess, or not needed. The testimony of A. Kadosh. The witness resides at 27 Hanbury Street, the building adjoining number 29 of the same street, and the two respective backyards separated by a wooden fence, tall and thin. On the morning of the murder, the witness got up at 5:15 a.m. and went into the yard where the latrine was. It was at 5:20 a.m. On going back into the house, the witness heard voices from behind the fence, coming from number 29. The only word that he understood was no. He went into the building again, but returned to the yard approximately 4 minutes later, whereupon he heard a noise as if something fell against the fence. He then departed for work. When he passed in front of the Spitalfields Church, it was approximately 5:32 a.m. Huh.
Yes, Doctor?
So, how far along are the investigations into these two recent murders?
Everyone around here believes both crimes were committed by the same man. But as for the Hanbury Street and Bucks Row crimes, nobody has heard or seen a thing.
By the way, Have you heard of a Dr. Tumblety?
No. Is it important?
Yes. Well, no, maybe. Actually, I don't know. I have heard about this man, his frequent nocturnal outings and bizarre behaviour.
What does this chap look like, Doctor? And where can we find him?
The last I heard was that he was staying at Finley's place, the man who was looking for me a few days ago.
It would greatly assist us if you could ask Finley what your strange associate looks like. We could then see if the description matches any witness accounts.
I will take my leave, Humphreys.
Goodbye, Doctor.
So why am I the one who has to go ask about this guy's appearance? Can't you do it? You're the frickin' cop. No. Let's make Watson run around and ask someone for a description of someone else. Why the bloody hell not? Yeah, actually, that's a good idea. Save! Ha ha. Ha ha. Okay, so the boarding house.
There is a strong smell of gas. It seems to be coming from the abandoned building.
Odd.
Good evening, Finley. How are you?
Oh, good evening, Doctor. So. And you?
It smells of gas here.
You might say, Doctor. Without wanting to speak ill of the force, I have to wonder if the police are up to something.
What do you mean?
Well, I was outside yesterday evening when the light went out at my place, and a gas smell came from the abandoned building across from my place. And a minute later, the police arrived and were snooping all around like it was them who hit the gas before arriving.
Have things sorted themselves out with your strange tenant?
Don't talk about it, Doctor. That man is truly bizarre. He goes to the most sordid locations once night falls. 3 days ago, my wife told me she saw him come in with blood-stained clothes and a fearsome look.
Interesting. What does he look like, and how old is he?
Oh, he's my age, give or take, so the other side of 50. He's always dressed in a striking manner, with an American hat. He's big, close to 5'11", I'd say. He has a strange voice, not just his accent, see, his voice.
Very well. Goodbye for now, Finley.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Now then, let's go to the police station.
I want to investigate the gas. Ooh. Alright. Back to the police station. Trunks everywhere. Wah.
Yes, Doctor.
Tumblety is a man around 5'11", about 55 years old, extravagantly dressed and with a rather distinctive voice. He boards at Finley's. You should know where that is, as the police were there only yesterday. Their arrival coincided with a strange gas leak.
Ah, yes, I know where you mean. Indeed, there was an odd affair with the gas. It was rather unsettling. We were searching for a well-known scoundrel who was ratted out by Squibby, the chap we followed and saved from the pack a few days ago. This thug, no pity Bluto, must have been in the abandoned building in question. But there was no sign of him when we arrived. Furthermore, an inspector said that, given the smell, the thingamabob that supplies gas to the building was probably damaged. So we took no risks and were called away somewhere else.
And it's just been leaking ever since.
I will take my leave, Humphreys.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Huh. Alright, now I'm going to go talk to the cobbler.
Good evening, Mr. Solomonovich.
Good evening, Doctor. What a pleasure to see you again.
Have you finished converting the harnesses?
Yes, just now. I got a little behind because of all the commotion.
Commotion?
Don't you start. 3 days ago, the very afternoon that you passed by, there was a chase throughout the neighborhood. Hundreds of people were chasing one man, claiming he was responsible for the murders these last few days. Schmonz! It was awful. I hope those maniacs didn't catch him. Better the police should.
Tell me, did John Pizer turn himself in to the police?
Things unfolded as they should. Look in the newspaper, the Daily News from today.
Commotion?
Don't you start. Schmont!
Farewell, Isaac.
Goodbye, Doctor.
The Daily News. Whitechapel murders. Oh, yes, I'll read this. There's a good reason why, without prejudice to the case of the man who is now in custody, the public acceptance of the maniacal theory should be endorsed and encouraged. There is positive danger in the growth of any other opinion at present in Whitechapel. As we have said, the mutilation of bodies, excepting in rare cases to further the murderer's chances of safety, is foreign to the English style in crime. There is a disposition at once, therefore, to set down such atrocities to the credit of some ill-bred and ill-nourished foreigner from the lowest dens of vice in Europe. So, in Whitechapel, there was arising a murmur of ugly foreboding from some of the foreign element there. Sheer rumor of the silliest kind was beginning to take an odious precision, and there was arising in the East End a Judenheisel? I don't know what that is. More important than that which abroad is due to religious fanaticism. To hate the Jew for his religion, to call him misbeliever, cutthroat dog, and spit upon his Jewish garbadine, even metaphorically, is bad enough, but to call him leather apron, and to imply thereby his readiness to murder women, and practice anatomy with his knife upon them, is the refinement of cruelty. There was reason to fear till yesterday that the tendency towards thus insulting the Jews of Whitechapel was growing, amid the embarrassingly perplexing as to the origin of the murders. The police have discouraged this line of suspicion by acting momentarily upon and then proving by their release of the Jew from whom they arrested that there was no doubt of his innocence. For the happy result, we may look lightly upon the apparently ludicrous error of this arrest. Pfizer, the man arrested, was found sitting quietly at home, totally undisturbed by any panic or bloodthirsty demand for that mythical personage, Leather Apron. He is said to be a poor, sickly man whom it was not possible to associate with the assassin now so eagerly wanted, and the reporters seem to have found that the police might easily also have learned that he had not only not left his house since Thursday last. Pfizer, however, will probably not regret his short detention if it has finally put a stop to these anti-Jewish suspicions. The inquest on the body of Annie Chapman was opened yesterday, but without throwing any new light on the murder. As a result of the investigations of the police into the circumstances attending the murder of Annie Chapman at Whitechapel, several men were arrested yesterday on suspicion. The arrests, which were considered to be of most importance, were those of a Polish Jew named Pfizer near the scene of the crime and a man named Pigot at Gravesend. Pfizer was released last evening, but Pigot, being considered to be insane, is to be detained under observation. Wow. Okay. Thank you. Alright, let's go to the clinic. Doctor, I have your harnesses.
Good evening, Dr. Gibbons.
Dr. Watson.
Did you keep the cane we spoke of last time?
I was going to sell it tomorrow, would you believe, having not heard word.
Do you have any formalin here?
No, definitely not. They have it in university hospitals to conserve anatomical specimens in jars. But in a little clinic like mine, we don't keep anything but bad memories.
Well, farewell, Doctor.
Goodbye, Dr. Watson.
I must retrieve Sickert's cane at all costs.
Here we go.
Yes, Doctor?
Here are your harnesses, Doctor.
They are top quality, I'd say. Definitely worth the price of this walking stick. Here, it's yours.
Huzzah!
Well, farewell, Doctor.
Goodbye, Dr. Watson.
I must go to Miss Bella's.
Rain on that poor bastard's parade. Though he's kind of a skeezy ass, so I don't really mind raining on his parade. Miss Bella.
Good evening, ma'am. Your door was open. Isn't that a little dangerous?
Hello, Doctor. Don't worry, if the looks of anyone who enters doesn't please me, me and my pistol know how to convince them to leave.
I see.
I found the cane that was stolen from your client. Here it is.
Doctor, you are a real saint, I can see that. I'll finally be able to present my bill to this damned painter. If by chance you see him, tell him that a little surprise awaits him here.
You told me you would give me some information on this Dr. Tumblety.
Agreed. He's a Canadian or an American. He parades from time to time through the neighbourhood in a 50-guinea suit and acts like a doctor. But for business, he isn't worth it. This damn Yankee hates women. The few times that he was approached by the girls, he spit on them, all the while hurling insults. It would seem that he was hunting for the bad boys. He's looking for trouble, that animal.
Does he frequent any pub in particular?
Aye, the Wasp's Nest on Burner Street, I think. A seedy spot even by our standards.
Do you happen to know Annie Chapman, the poor woman who was killed 3 days ago?
Dark Annie? Like all the drifters in the area, I've seen her once or twice. With respect to the dead, Annie really was the bottom of the barrel.
What do you mean?
Well, in our profession, the pretty young ones go out when night has barely fallen and don't have a problem finding takers. But poor girls like Annie or Polly Nichols, who aren't as tender and are often sick, sometimes trudge around for a whole night in the cold and the rain before landing a client. And that doesn't help their appearances either. They don't have much choice about paying for a bed for a few hours, a glass of gin or a hot meal.
How terribly sad.
That's the price of survival in Whitechapel, my angel. One of my girls knew Annie for some time. They bought some jewellery on the black market, I think.
Jewellery? How could Annie Chapman have possibly afforded jewellery?
Luxuries for a woman are always relative to her condition, Doctor. As a matter of fact, it was real cheap junk. Annie got 3 assorted brass rings, I think. It's been said I have a memory for jewellery.
Shadow, I have no idea why the background chatter and sound effects are so loud.
How is Lucy keeping?
She's doing well, Doctor. But believe me, it won't last. Rare are the girls who can build a future in our profession.
Very well, I shall let you get back to work, Ma.
See you soon, my love.
Hopefully not. All right. So we can go to the pub now. Where was that pub again? Ah, here it is.
The Wasp's Nest.
Oh. Oh my. Paper because they wanted to show off their new sound quality. Perhaps.
Greetings, my good man. Could I have a pint?
Here, Gov.
I've been told that Dr. Tumblety might be found around here. Is that so?
I don't do a roll call of all the drunkards here. I've got my hands full just making sure I get their money.
Don't people pay when they order?
Nah, look at that little scribbler there. Completely dead drunk. Tonight's tally is about as long as his arm. If he skips out, I'll be in for a guinea almost.
Goodbye, my friend.
Oi, that's it.
Good evening. Would you happen to have seen a Dr. Tumblety? A man of a certain age dressed in a flamboyant manner.
If you're looking for some company, Gov, you've come to the wrong place. Me? I'm just here to pour. I don't care who you is, I knows nothing, and I don't care neither.
Well, okay then.
Good evening, sir.
It'll be the coup of my career, Governor said. Ha! You'll make loads of doss of the paper, he said.
You're a journalist?
That's so. Tom Bulling at your service. The Whitechapel ferret, the wizard with the scoop.
You don't appear to be in a state to write anything, my friend.
You're mistaken. Whiskey passes through the blood and turns into ink. Simple. You see, mugs and inkwells are all the same.
Don't you think you should settle your tab and go home?
My red ink? Where's my red ink? I won't even pay half a halfpenny if they don't return my red ink. It's my blood you hear.
Very well, I'll be on my way.
drunken idiot. No, there's a pot of red ink right there in front of you. Ah.
Good evening, sir.
Well, I know you. Why, we met at Miss Poolman's the other day. So you've come to slum it in Whitechapel, eh?
Do you know Dr. Tumblety, a Canadian or American chap? Quite an extravagant dresser. Frequents this pub now and then.
Are you intimate?
No. What do you mean by that?
Oh, nothing. Nothing at all. I just wanted to prove my discretion concerning this man, insomuch and so far as I know him. You wouldn't like it if one day the tables were turned and everyone was talking about why you were in the borough. Isn't that so?
As it happens, I saw Miss Poolman recently. She told me that she couldn't wait to see you again. She said something about a surprise that is waiting for you at her establishment.
Why, that is some of the best news I've heard, my friend.
Oh, yeah.
As thanks, I would like to let you in on a secret.
Oh?
The man that you were talking about, and whom I happen to know by sight, passed by and went through that little door that you see over there. Another man let him in. They weren't together for more than a few minutes, to be sure, eh?
Well, I will continue my search.
Ah, love.
But what is this person trying to imply? This matter is beyond me.
Poor Watson.
This is the sink where the barmaid puts the glasses to soak. Look, red ink. What's that doing here? The bottle is closed. There must still be some ink inside, and it looks like a glass. The barmaid must have put ink into the sink by mistake.
Right. Do I get in your way? Me?
If you'll excuse me, sir.
Here's your ink.
You're the best. The boss told me. My red ink. Well, where's she be?
I found your red ink, my friend. You should settle up and head home.
Thank you, my friend, thank you. The spring-heeled phantom will be revived.
All right. I'm it twizzled! Ah! Thank you for that subscription there, Twizzled. How are you doing?
Hey, you can't go in there. It's private. Got it?
No.
Gov?
What's behind that locked door over there? Can I go in?
Not likely. And let me be unless you're wanting a drink. Got it?
Yeesh. Twizzle, it's so weird that I stream this late now instead of when you're in the office. Yeah, it's because I'm in the office when you're in the office now, Twizzled, unfortunately. And paper's still here. Ooh, good.
Here you go. It's on the journalist, my friend.
I owe you one. The next one is on me. What'll it be?
Nothing, thanks. But I may need your help. Listen, my friend. I would like you to let me in the door over there.
You're a bobby. A peeler?
Absolutely not, my friend. I am a doctor.
Fine. I owe you this at least. There's a bloke behind that door there. No pity Bluto.
Ooh.
Let's just say he wants to lay low for a moment. So I don't
hand?
think he'll be opening the door just now. Unless... Tell him you have word from Squibby. That'll open the door. But who can say what'll happen when the door closes?
Right.
Goodbye, my friend.
Oi, that's it.
Oi, that's it, huh?
Let me in. I have news from Squibby. But stay calm.
And who are you? Where's Squibby? He's out.
To be honest, I don't actually know this Squibby chap. I was actually wondering if you knew Dr. Tumblety, a Canadian or American fellow. He came in...
Sure we know him.
Excellent. Can you...
You know about gas?
I'm afraid not. I am a doctor.
Then I ain't interested. You can be leaving now. But if I find out who snitched to the peelers, I'll find you. Got it?
But I can pay you for...
Keep your coins for the paupers, or one of the gas boys who ain't afraid of nothing and knows how to hold his tongue. You bring him to me, I'll meet with you.
What? Why? Oh.
Gov?
Goodbye, my friend.
Oi, that's it.
So upset. So now what do I go find some idiot to... Oh. Yeah, we're done there and there, I think. Can we go back? Can we see this guy getting his just desserts?
You're still there, Doctor?
Very well, I shall let you...
See?
Darn.
Out of the way, I don't like...
Yeah, you don't like to look at me, whatever, shut up. Alright, let's go to the police station. Uh-oh.
Yes, Doctor. I will take my leave, Humphreys.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Ah. So now what am I doing? Oh, one of those gas boys who ain't afraid of nothing knows told us that. You bring him to me, I'll meet you. Okay.
Anything else, Doctor?
Very well. Goodbye.
Goodbye, Doctor.
Well, I'm at a loss.
There is a strong smell of gas. It seems to be coming from the abandoned building.
Huh. Oh, that's annoying. Alright, let me consult my handy dandy guide. Papers of Playa. Let's see. Torn report, we did that. Fiddly at the boarding house. Okay, police station. Talk to him when where's the building? Ah! I forgot to ask the doctor. Hi, River Glory. How's it going? I forgot to ask the doctor about the pill we have. Wow, Paper's just being so nice.
Yes,
right
Doctor?
now. River, you're doing good? Great. I'm glad to hear it.
Could you tell me what type of pill this is?
Yes, we have those here. It's not really a medication. We give them to patients with chronic respiratory conditions like tuberculosis.
Did you have a patient by the name of Annie Chapman, the woman killed 3 days ago?
Indeed. She came in the morning of her death. Poor woman.
Did you give her these pills?
Yes, now that I think of it. She actually came in twice. The first time I gave her an almost empty container without making her pay. She came back during the day and said she dropped the container and stepped on the pills. She wanted to know if I could give her more again without paying. I refused. After she left, a patient who was there told me that he lives at the same place and confided that she had been lying. He saw the pills fall in the tenement's communal kitchen, but the woman immediately wrapped them up in a piece of paper.
Where did this paper come from?
According to this man, she'd found it near the chimney in the kitchen.
Anyone could have thrown that paper there. That envelope can't have anything to do with the murder.
Pardon, Doctor?
Nothing. I was just talking to myself. Well, farewell, Doctor.
Goodbye, Dr. Watson.
Huh.
Well, it would seem that I have all the information I need for my investigation. Anyway, this fellow Bluto at the Wasp's Nest is rather shady and doesn't look like he'll want to cooperate. I'd be better off returning to Baker Street. Holmes will certainly know what to do. And besides, I am worn out.
Yes, all that running. River, how am I? I'm doing good, thank you, River. Oh, Shadow is a bit sad, it looks. Alright, back to Baker Street.
Let's go back to Baker Street. Home, sweet home. There we are, Holmes. I've told you in great detail everything that happened last night.
Excellent work, Watson. We shall now be prepared to answer a few questions about the horrible murder in Hanbury Street.
Do you think we are now in a position to find out the identity of the murderer of these two women?
No, I don't think so. It's outside of our scope and not our responsibility. As much as you've done for Leather Apron and the affair with the pills, our mission is to help the police by ensuring that they don't get caught up following false leads and to point them in the right direction. Let us start from what we know with some certitude. As you have just said, it is almost certain that the same person killed the Bucks Row and Hanbury Street victims. The reason to assume as much are numerous, and I shan't elaborate here. What do these two victims have in common?
It's true these two women were in the same profession, but...
Indeed, Watson. These two women were both prostitutes. That is of vital importance, Watson.
My memory from your examination of the scene is rather hazy. Didn't you say something about the killer's frame of mind?
I was talking about the victim's possessions that were placed on the ground and the rings missing from Annie Chapman's fingers. This killer is a cunning predator, comes from a rather humble background and shows steely self-control in carrying out the murders.
Something is puzzling me, Holmes. Richardson's testimony contradicts the time of death given by Dr. Phillips, which also matches my own, 4:30 a.m.
And yes, we shall confirm that, Watson, and attempt to determine the precise time of death. In order to do that, we will need to place everyone involved on a timeline. Only after that will we be able to place the knife symbolizing our killer. Let's look at our timeline, Watson.
You control Holmes. Let me save. Right. Estimate the time of death according to Dr. Watson and Phillips, 4:30 a.m.
Let's put the time of death as assessed by Dr. Phillips on the timeline.
$4:30.
The assessment of the time of the murder given by Dr. Phillips and yourself, Watson, 4:30 a.m.
Alright. Sherlock and Watson arrive at the crime scene.
We left the station at 6 o'clock and it took us 20 minutes to arrive at Hanbury Street.
6:20.
Our arrival at the scene occurred at around 6:20. Given the distance separating the two locations, we can deduce that the corpse wasn't discovered after 6 o'clock, and therefore that the murder must have been committed before.
Ah. The envelope? Select from the inventory the dialogue in the two documents which will permit you to determine the time of Chapman's death in Hanbury Street. Then place the objects or the character representing these testimonies on the timeline. Listen carefully to Sherlock Holmes' instructions, which might ask you to modify them. Once all the icons are properly placed, Sherlock Holmes will ask you to place Jack the Ripper's knife at the exact time of death. What? Alright, what's this? The star. What? How do I... Okay. Hey, Fire Sign, how's it going? Long time no see. Now, what am I after? So I need this paper for a reason? I'm not sure. Let me check. I'm doing a little bit of cheating, yes? Okay, the testimony of Elong. Gotcha. Testimony of Elong used as proof. Alright. What's next? Testimony of a Kadosh. Used as proof. And in the dialogue section of the police station, Richard's testimony. Okay. So Mrs. Long sees a woman speaking to a man near Twin and Hanbury Street. Okay, she... It's got a 520. Went to the yard. Okay, so 515. Fire sign. Hey, it has been a minute. Doing good, and me. I'm doing all right, thanks, Fire sign. Been very busy. But relaxing with a little bit of streaming after a long day's work, so it's good. Okay. Mr. Kaddish went to the garden for a few minutes and goes back in and hears voices. Twizzled, cream cheese. Twizzled, I don't know what that means. I mean, I know what cream cheese means. I'm not sure what your point is or what you're saying. What? Okay, so... Twizzled, absolutely nothing. Just cream cheese. Fair enough, Twizzled. Fair enough. Random words are fun. Alright, so... this guy went into his yard at 5:15. To the latrine, and then 5:20. Night paper, don't let him lie to you. He's dying. Look at his bags under his eyes. Sure, paper, sure. 5:20. Okay, so we got up. Kaddish leaves his place at work. Mr. Kaddish hears a falling cigar and roll a few minutes after him back up. Mr. Kaddish is in his garden for a few minutes and goes back in. He hears voices. Well, that was... All right, let me read this whole thing. Let's see. We just got up at 5:15 and then went into the yard where the latrine was. It was then 5:20. On going back into the house, the witness heard voices from behind the fence coming from number 29. The only word that he understood was no. The human went to the building. He returned to the yard 44 minutes. Okay. So he went in at 5:20. This is...
Our next witness is Albert Kadosh.
Okay, so 5:20? 4?
Kadosh goes back down into his garden approximately 4 minutes after having left it, and hears the sound of an impact against the wooden fence.
Paper, poor boy. River, cream cheese is the first signs of asking for help. Is it now? I'll have to keep that in mind. He's in his garden for a few minutes.
Let's place this symbol that represents Kadosh on the timeline.
Okay, so he's in the garden for a few minutes, then goes back in, hears voices. That would have been at 5:20, I believe.
Albert Kadosh goes down into his garden at approximately 5:20, and on re-entering his home, hears voices in number 29's garden.
Yes, excellent. Leaves his place to get to work. Oh, what time did he leave to go to work? Paper. That's not an emote. That doesn't really count, you know. 5:32. Paper. Behave yourself, Night Paper.
Let's place this symbol that represents Kadosh on the timeline. Kadosh leaves the garden, enters his house, then leaves for work, seeing the clock on the Spitalfields church showing 5:32.
Paper, you got rid of that paper. I did, Paper. I don't know. It just didn't seem appropriate. I don't know. I did get rid of it. I'm sorry. Alright, so now we have to figure out... Mrs. Long sees a woman speaking to a man near 29 Hanbury Street. Mrs. Long. Okay, where did she... About 5:30. Alright, so we'll throw her on here at 5:30.
Now, for the most important part, the testimony of Miss Long. She claims to have seen a woman speaking to a man near 29 Hanbury Street sometime around... What time, Watson?
Paper, it's your fault. This is the only way to let the dream live on. You know, we could let that dream die, Paper. I wouldn't be upset by it.
Let us assume, therefore, that Miss Long's testimony is, as is most certainly the case, true. She places her meeting with the victim at around 5:30, claiming to have heard a clock chime on the half hour at the moment when she enters the street.
Paper. Alright, so Richardson arrives at his mother's. So Richardson said that he arrived... Oh God, where is this? Alright, it was 4:45 when he got there. Okay, 4:45.
Now, let's put the Richardsons' arrival and departure times on the timeline.
4:45. Right. Leaves his mother's, so he left his mother's place 4:45 when he got there. So where did blah 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 la la la. There's covered in blood. 5 minutes after getting to number 29, I had to clip off. 5 minutes after getting there.
Now, let's put the Richardsons' arrival and departure times on the timeline.
So he's only there for 5 minutes.
Despite the great respect I have for Dr. Phillips and the value I place on our friendship, my deepest conviction is that both of you are mistaken and that Richardson is in the right and that these two testimonies put down in writing have real worth.
But how? Explain yourself, Holmes.
Remember how you assessed the time of death. You touched the fingers and body of the victim, but it was remarkably cold for this time of year. In addition, the corpse had been drained of bodily fluids. Its heat retention was therefore no longer the same as that of an intact corpse.
Egad! You're right, Holmes.
Oh, I've had some time to research, Watson.
Given these facts, my first diagnosis may have been off by half an hour, perhaps even an hour.
Thus, we can confirm Richardson's statement and establish that the murder was committed after 4:50 a.m. and not before 4:30 a.m. Excellent, Watson. All our people are now in place.
Yes, but Holmes, Miss Long claims to have seen the victim at around 5:30. But according to Kadosh, someone, most certainly the victim and her murderer, was already in the garden at 5:30.
Excellent observation, Watson. It must be noted, however, that these two witnesses, Long and Kadosh, saw the time shown on the clocks in the area, which are often inaccurate and went by their empirical and, in this case, erroneous estimate of how much time had passed. Thus, neither of these two times can be considered reliable.
Do you mean to say that these two testimonies might match?
Indeed. Let's put Miss Long's meeting with the victim at 2 minutes before 5:30. Let's add Miss Long's meeting with the victim at 2 minutes before 5:30 a.m. Mr. Kadosh claims to have passed by the Spitalfields Church at 5:32, which, given the distance from 27 Hanbury Street, would mean he was still at home at 5:31. Let's therefore put the end of his testimony at 5:31. Miss Long heard the man say to the victim, "Will you?" to which the victim responded, "Yes," which would suggest that an agreement was reached and that the transaction was imminent. They then proceeded to enter the garden, which puts the voices heard by Kadosh at 5:29.
Ha!
We had thought that Kadosh had left 27 Hanbury Street at 5:31 after having heard an impact against the fence. Thus, 2 minutes passed between the moment when Kadosh entered the house after having been in the garden the first time and the moment when he returns to go out again and leave for work. How long did he estimate this interval to be? 3 to 4 minutes. In light of all this, Watson, we can finally establish the time of Chapman's murder. Now, place the knife at the exact time.
3 to 4 minutes? Wait. So 5:24? Uh-oh. What did I misunderstand? Let's go down here. 3 to 4 minutes from 29. Ah, twizzled. Yes, thank you. Oh, so that would make it what? 32? 33?
Now then, taking into
30.
account that the local clock isn't exact and that a young man was off by a minute or two in his estimations of his comings and goings, we can confirm Miss Long's testimony and place the time of the crime at approximately 5:30.
But in that case, Holmes, the man that Miss Long saw is none other than...
That's right, Watson. It was the Whitechapel killer.
To think that Miss Long and Kadosh were only a few feet away from him.
Indeed, Watson. Had Miss Long passed just a little closer to the victim and her assassin, or had the young Kadosh popped his head over the fence out of curiosity, the killer would most certainly already be behind bars.
That's some stroke of luck he had there.
I couldn't agree more, Watson. But his luck didn't end there, given the mutilations inflicted upon this poor woman. What must be considered above all is the killer's obvious wish to remove one and only one specific organ. His surgery pinpointed the exact spot, avoiding superfluous incisions. This suggests the man possesses at least a minimal anatomical knowledge.
Are you suggesting a doctor or a butcher?
Perhaps, but the possibilities are still too broad to conclude with any certainty. Now for the motive. Despite my almost complete lack of practical experience on the subject, I have a rather precise idea of the usefulness of a uterus and a vagina. Nonetheless, once they are separated from their usual envelope, I am more circumspect as to the uses one can make of them. What do you think, Watson?
Don't make
Need
me
a
answer
board,
this.
Watson.
Oh. Not this one. This one?
There is nothing more to do here.
Oh. Oh, over here. This one. Okay. Look at the causal motives of the crime. In the medical university environment, students easily have access to a number of specimens.
Perhaps it was intended as a study specimen.
I have little faith in that theory. Hardly anything was taken from the Bucks Row victim.
No indication it's just any type of ritual.
Black magic?
Watson, this line of investigation is far too vague. We don't have a single clue in support of such a motive. We can eliminate this hypothesis.
Dimension commission to without axe. For this motive, it would have been easy to quickly remove something from the Bucks Row victim, Polly Nichols.
A desire for some sort of morbid trophy?
I'd be inclined to dismiss this motive. If this were the case, why would nothing have been removed from the Bucks Row victim?
To supply human organ trafficking.
Money, quite simply.
Even if this motive seems incongruous, we're in no position to deny or affirm it until we know whether a market for human organs exists.
Holmes, what if it was cannibalism?
Even if the idea is unbearable, we can't ignore it as a possibility. Elementary. What emerges from these possible motives for having removed the uterus from the second victim is that they implied that the killer could have carried out the same thing on the Bucks Row victim, yet didn't. This brings us to a terrible conclusion. Our killer has evolved in the space of only a few days, and if that's the case, had he already struck before the first murder to which we attribute him? And if the killer strikes again, what atrocity awaits his next victim?
Hello,
we have
everyone.
to stop him, Holmes.
We shall do our best. This recent business of jars filled with formalin and of the American doctor might be a lead. Watson, inquire among medical circles to ascertain if there is a black market for human organs. The chances are slim, but this must be pursued.
Very well. What about you, Holmes?
I will send word to Inspector Aberline regarding our recent conclusions. I should also like to become a gas man and pay a visit to Bluto at the Wasp's Nest.
Understood, Holmes. I think one of my old university colleagues who works at the London hospital will be able to help me. I shall write him a note at once. He should be able to see me during the day. Afterwards, shall we meet here?
Yes, Watson. See you later, and good luck.
Yes.
I must get to the London hospital, where my old university colleague works.
All right. First, I must save. Hello, Sue. Hello, Raiders. Welcome to the stream. Thank you, Sue, for the raid. Oh, so we have to get to... Oh, wrong button. To the hospital.
To the London hospital. Quick.
Quick.
My colleague agreed to meet me here in one of the London hospital rooms reserved for students.
Ah, John, you're there already. Punctual as always. Tell me, you don't seem to be in good shape. Is it possible that your recent marriage is making you this morose?
Ah, you know me well, Andrew. No, it's a strange and terrible affair that concerns me.
Thanks, Sue.
Have you read
Have
my
a wonderful
note?
night.
Yes, I admit that I was surprised. It just so happens that I, too, was asking questions about our morgue.
What do you think? Have you heard of any organ trafficking within?
No, John. No doubt there exists some exchange between colleagues. Not quite legal, of course, but nothing that can qualify as trafficking. Since the Anatomy Act of 1832, which permitted the use of unclaimed corpses for science, the black market trade was definitely halted. There are sufficient subjects available for all practitioners and students. Of this I can confirm.
Well, organ trafficking as a lucrative trade is out of the question. Then what is troubling you with the morgue?
You are talking about trafficking organs, but I suspect there is trade in whole bodies.
What do you mean to say? Whole bodies are disappearing?
Well, it's confidential, but I know of your discretion and your friendship with the famous Sherlock Holmes. I can tell you that a few corpses have recently disappeared from the hospital morgue. Cadavers that were intended for dissection. That is to say, not claimed. Poor, unknown people. If a single corpse had disappeared, it might have been a bad joke. There are many students who pass through here. It's even a meeting spot. For the majority, they are here to work. A few come here in secret to practice. It also happens that instruments or organs go missing. Nothing alarming, but so many corpses. It's very troubling.
Do we have a Dr. Frankenstein on our hands?
But the hospital doctors aren't doing anything?
No. That is to say, they would prefer not to call the police at this point.
Ah, yes.
An investigation would no doubt result in the suspension of authorizations for the use of unclaimed corpses. Do you think that you could intercede on our behalf with Sherlock Holmes to clear up this situation?
Which corpses are missing?
Which corpses are missing?
Ah, I don't know exactly, but I can make an exact list if you would like to wait here for a few minutes.
Yeah.
Feel free to look around the room while you wait. It'll bring back memories.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes, because I want to bring back memories.
It's here that students come to carry out their experiments. This surgical instrument resembles a screwdriver. How amusing. It might come in handy. I will return it later.
Watson.
It's here that students come to carry out their experiments. This rag is full of grease. It certainly wasn't used for a dissection. Was someone doing some mechanical work here? These wheeled trolleys are very handy for laying out surgical instruments. The last lesson must have been about the human heart. And for a class of beginners, I expect, as this diagram is rather rudimentary.
Oh, I didn't need to see that.
There is a heart in this jar. Based on its colouring, it hasn't been there long. And it looks like the drawing on the board. This jar contains 2 lids with combination locks.
What? What? Suddenly I have to solve a mystery? Okay, I'm looking this one up. Alright. Click on the heart in the jar and see the puzzle close up. Click on the document icon at the bottom left. Open the graph written on the prescription in documents. See this document is proof by clicking on the text icon on the bottom right page. Documents. When I scroll in game, it scrolls on one of my off-screen windows. It's really annoying. Alright, let's see here. I can't use the up arrow. What if I do this? Ha! There. Oh, I don't think I have everything I need just yet. Let's look around the room some more.
It's here that students...
Yes, yes. Ah.
An encyclopedia of anatomy. A page on the human heart is dog-eared. Let's see.
Aha, there we go. We'll need this.
I have no reason to go here.
Alright, let's try...
There is a heart in this jar. This jar contains 2 lids with...
Alright. So this... I'm going to use this as proof. And then what's the other thing I needed to use as proof? It says here. Click the heart in the jar and see the puzzle up close. Click the document icon in the bottom left. Okay. Open the graph written on the prescription in documents. Prescription? I don't have a prescription. Where did I get the prescription? Turn right and check the wheeled trolley by the window. Window? That's the trolley by the window. I don't see...
This wheel won't roll despite all of the added grease. Curious, as Holmes would say. This wheel won't roll despite... This rag is full of grease. It's a...
Okay. You still to right will get a message. It's an old prescription for 7-year-old Ethan Levy at advanced stage 7. This has a chart of the hardest quadrants of the main, isn't it? I didn't get anything about an old prescription. What are you talking about, game? I'm not seeing this old prescription. Why does there have to be fetuses in jars? Why?
A message? I'll be... Why the devil was it hidden here?
Okay, this is what we needed.
An old prescription. Poor child, so young, yet terminally ill. Strange, someone scrawled something. Part of it is in Latin. These are instructions, it would seem.
The, little walkthrough I'm using did not mention using the tool to get the message out.
There is a heart in this jar. This jar contains...
Yes, I know, Watson. Alright, so... Use as proof. Alright. So I need to do... So I'm turning it based on the way that the blood... Oh, excuse me. The blood flows to the heart? Is this what I'm understanding? The vena cava superior. There's the inferior. Where's the superior? At the top, of course. So the blood goes down. So does that mean I want to do a turn for blue down? And then the valva aortae is here, up. The atrium sinistrum. Paper, come on, it's not heart surgery. Oh, no. Atrium sinistra. It's pretty close, though, if you ask me. Blue down. Air's going down. And then the triculus pulmonalis. It's going out. Doesn't really help me. You're just stupid. It's up, down, up, down. If you say so. This isn't a down. Okay. Okay.
There is a heart in this jar. Based on its colouring, it hasn't been there long. and it looks like the drawing on the board. This jar contains 2 lids with combination locks.
Is there no reset button? Okay, that's where we started. Left, right, A, B, start. Yeah, that'd be nice. Oh! I'm an idiot. I'm supposed to be referencing... I'm pointing at the screen, you guys can't see me pointing at it. I need to reference the points and then use the number chart to determine how many times I click. I'm gonna double check this. The graph is oxidized and poorly oxygenated path of the blood. The poorly oxygenated blood is shown in the blue arrow entering through the vena cava superium to atrium sistrum. The oxygenated blood from the lungs is shown with the red arrow entering through the valva sorta and tractus palomus. Sure. Cross to the heart backboard. Study a picture at the top right. Locate the vena cava superior, which is the blue artery at the top of the cross. Got it. See it as numbered 1 in the chalk drawing on the left. Yes. Locate the atrium sistrum in the middle right cross section. Number 8, the chalk drawing. Locate the valva sorta, which is numbered 5. Okay. Locate the truncheon in the middle. That is number 2. Okay, turn the arrows at the bottom. Turn the arrows at bottom right to move the hands inside the circle. Okay, I get it. We can see. You can see it, but you can't see me pointing at it, paper. Turn the arrows. Turn the blue arrow to point to 1. Turn the red arrow to point to 5. Take the heart message paper with number 6. Take the heart message paper? Turn the blue arrow to point to 8. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, red's not pointing it. Oh, because I was looking at it as if it was a clock, but it's not. There, that's 5. Take the heart message paper with number 6? What does that even mean? Turn the blue arrow to point to 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It's 9. This is 8, you idiot. The blue arrow to 8. Turn the red arrow to point to 2. Went the long way around. The case opens. Take them in. Why not just point to the fridge? The fridge? Now what are you talking about? This isn't helping. I'm so confused. Okay, it started like that. Turn the blue arrow to point to 1. Where's 1? Smash it open? I wish I could. Does the arrow suggest that I need to move counterclockwise and clockwise? So blue always goes counter, red always goes clockwise. Let's try it. To 1. Turn the red arrow to point to 5, going clockwise.
Look, there was a bit of paper stuck between the 2 lids.
This. A 6! We have a 6. I don't know why we have a 6, but we have a 6. Turn the blue arrow to point to 8, going anti-clockwise. 8, okay. Turn the red arrow to point to 2, going clockwise.
Incredible! Someone has hidden a magnet in this heart.
Why?
But to what end?
Exactly. Alright, I took the magnet. Now what? I did it! Hello? Anyone? Well, we got a magnet. Why a 6? I have no idea why a 6. Go to the desk that said, oh. Because we need to find desk 6. Oh look, the game colored it for me and everything.
Incredible. There is a magnet with a hook behind this pane of glass. I am in need of something.
I wish I could see it. What? Oh, I touched the edge. Don't bump the edge. Ah! It's like playing Operation. So, really? I'm gonna admit this is a bit of a mindfuckery because like I want that to go to the left, so I need to move this one to the right. Oh. What if I go? No. Bollocks. Okay, I can't. This is Operation. So these two can't touch each other. But I tapped the edge. How am I supposed to? I see. No. Well, they can cross. Hi-ya! At least I can grab this magnet and just drag it like I want to. Oh, now I'm doing the whole opposite thing again. Great.
There, all done. Holmes couldn't have done better himself.
No, I'm sure he couldn't have, Watson. I'm sure he couldn't have. So wait, what do I do with the hook? Game, you're failing to explain these things to me.
A hole. I can make out something inside, but how to get it out? I will need a hook. I found it.
River, yay, you did it! Paper, I will not do that.
A coded message.
Oh, God.
I do believe I will need Holmes.
Here is the list, John.
Yay, a list.
The missing corpses are those of a woman, 40 years old, beginning of August, another, 55 years old, 2 weeks ago, and recently, a young woman. These corpses had nothing in common except that they didn't have any apparent lesions.
All of this is very troubling. Well, I think that I have all of the information possible, and I promise that I will do what I can to clear up this business. I must leave you, my friend, and...
In the name of our friendship,
Please, don't go so stare.
To be sure. Thanks again, Andrew.
it is I who must thank
What
you,
was
John.
that?
Don't forget to keep me up to date and say hello to your charming wife for me.
Count on me, Andrew.
Why
I
did
must
his
go to the
accent
wasp's nest to find this rogue that
change?
Watson dubbed Bluto. He may be able to provide information on Dr. Tumblety. This lead, although tenuous, is well worth following. I must return to Whitechapel, but it would be better if I did so incognito.
I'm not incognito yet. We'll get incognito. It hit Watson's doctor's friend's voice when he said stir. It like went all like stir. Like, what the hell? Did the voice actor like record that line later and think he was a different character? Yes, River, it is sus.
This should do the trick.
That's not at all the color of the coat I just picked up off the bed, but alright. Whatever, game. Alright. The hell part of the UK is that from? Right, Vicious? Don't cause a stare. I don't know. It is very odd. Save the game. Haha. 5 through 8 of 7. I don't know what that means, but alright. 7 through 10/7. So 8. Oh, okay, I get it. Sure. And, okay, I'm incognito as Holmes. We have to go down to the pub to investigate, and we will do that next Wednesday, everyone. Haha. How do you like that for a cliffhanger? It's not much of a cliffhanger, really. But yes, I'm going to stop it here for tonight, everyone. Thank you for showing up. Thank you again to Sue for the raid, and to IB Twizzled for the sub. Much appreciated. Paper, the part where the History Museum has all stolen items in other countries. Yes. Yes, Paper. Sure. Yeah, I'm going to stop it here for tonight. And next Wednesday, we will head down to the pub as Holmes and see what we can find out from that guy in the locked room that was kind of a jerk to Watson. I will be... Paper, yes, you're right. I'll be starting on Friday my playthrough of Telltale's Guardians of the Galaxy game to wrap up my Telltale Games playthroughs. And I am taking requests if anyone has any suggestions for a Friday night game. I have a couple of ideas I will go over in a couple of weeks once we actually finish up Guardians. Firesign, have a good night. Thank you, Firesign. You as well. Paper, you have a lot. All right, Paper, get that list jotted down and ready. In a couple of weeks, I'll be taking suggestions to replace Guardian or Telltale games on Fridays. But we have to get through Guardians of the Galaxy first. I know I'm kind of putting cart before horse here, but I want to give everyone a chance to think about it for a bit. Otherwise, I will be back on Monday night to continue our second playthrough of Detroit Become Human. We've completed the game, and we got a rather semi-crap ending, if you ask me. We lost a bunch of characters, and basically the human-android war was about to begin in our first ending. So this time we're going to try and see if we can't do something a little more peaceful and not get our characters all killed off. And, of course, Wednesday we'll return to Sherlock Holmes. Paper, war. We already did war, Paper. Next time is peace. So, I don't think I have anyone to send you all off to, but I will double check just to make sure. Is there anyone that I can raid? No, I mean, unless you want me to raid you all over to the Bob Ross channel so you can relax with some happy little tree painting. But no, I think I'll just call it good and wish you all good night. Silver, later, and chat. Thank you. War is not the only way, Paper. Yes. Otherwise, if you want to get caught up on any of my past live streams, you can check out my YouTube channel. All of my live streams get archived over there within a few days of them being live. Paper, because war never changes, if you want to. Yeah, Paper, sure. But anyways, everyone, without further ado, have a good night. And, as always, please stay safe out there.